All right, so hopefully you actually copied that cheat sheet, because if you didn't, you're going to be in trouble when you have to do this on your own. So, this rule, first thing you want to think to yourself, is it power to power? Is there a parenthesis with an exponent on the outside? The answer is no. So this is either going to be the 0th power, MLB, or the quotient rule, the QR. In this case, there's a dot. If you look on your cheat sheet, when you have a dot, it's multiplying like bases, which means we write MLB because that's the rule we're using. If you look at your sheet, what do we do to the exponents when we're multiplying like bases? You add the exponents. So your answer is going to be x to the 17th. Now, number 2, you say to yourself, is there parentheses with an exponent on the outside of it? Yes, there is. So the next thing you have to say is, do I need to add ones? Yes, I do. Your constant needs the 1, and your y needs the 1. Since we have parentheses with an exponent, we know the rule is p2p, power to power. And we are going to do what to the exponents? Multiply. Remember, this is the one that's like distributed properties, so an arrow goes to every single exponent in the problem. 6 to the 1st becomes 6 to the 3rd. X to the 4th becomes x to the 12th. And y to the 1st becomes y to the 3rd. And we know that 6 to the 3rd is 6 times 6 times 6, which I think is 216, and I am right. So this is your final answer. Hope I'm not writing on the table. I'm not. All right, next one. We have a fraction bar, so automatically you should know it's the quotient rule. And what do we do to exponents when we have the quotient rule? We subtract them. So say to yourself, do I have to put any ones? Yes, I do. Look for your highest or your largest exponent. Is it on the top or the bottom? Your largest is at the top, so you subtract the bottom. So your answer is x to the 8th. Remember, since you subtracted from the top, your answer's on the top. Now this one, we have parentheses, but do we have an exponent on the outside like we did in number 2? No, we just have 2 sets of parentheses, which means I'm multiplying, so it's multiplying like bases. What do we do to our exponents when we're multiplying like bases? Hopefully you said add. In this case, unlike number 1, we do have constants we have to take care of. But if you look at your cheat sheet, we know that when we have constants, what do we do to them? We multiply. So 6 times 2 is 12. Now add your exponents. Do I have to put ones anywhere? Yep. X to the 2nd and x to the 3rd become x to the 5th. Y to the 4th and y to the 1st becomes y to the 5th. The reason we didn't put ones on the 6 and the 2 is because this is not power to power. The only time your constant will get a 1 is when it's power to power. So now number 5, we have a dot. So automatically, since there's no parentheses, it cannot be P2P. So look at your cheat sheet. You should know your dot is MLB. What do we do to our exponents? We add them. Keep your base. So your base is going to stay 8. And add your exponents. 2 plus 9 is 11. There are some people that will do 8 times 8 and put a 64 here. Don't do that. Keep your base the same. Now this one, you have parentheses with an exponent on the outside, but if you notice, everything's raised to the 0th power. And we know when anything is raised to the 0th power, what does it automatically go to? 1. So your answer is 1. Number 7, we have a set of parentheses with an exponent on the outside. So in that case, what rule is it going to be? Yep, power to power. And when it's power to power, what do we do to our exponents? Multiply. Do I need to put any 1s over here? I do. I have to put it on my constant. And remember, we think of this like distributed properties. So how many arrows are coming off my 3? 3 of them are. And we're multiplying, so 6 to the 1st becomes 6 to the 3rd. A to the 7th times 3 is A to the 21st. B to the 3rd is 3 times 3, which is 9. And 6 to the 3rd, is 216. A to the 21st, B to the 9th. All right, number 8. We have 2 sets of parentheses. So automatically we know it's MLB because there's no exponent on the outside. We add our exponents. But we have constants. What do we do to our constants? Hopefully you said multiply them. So we start with a 30. And you combine, we have A to the 8th. A to the 17th. So when you add those together, we get 17 plus 8 is what, 25? Hopefully I'm right. And then, I need to start writing smaller. We have B to the 1st and B to the 4th. Add them and we get B to the 5th. And then we have the C here that has no friends. There is a 1 attached to it, but because it has no friends, we just attached it at the end. And it wouldn't be pretty if we wrote the 1, so we're going to leave the 1 off. All right, number 9, we automatically have a fraction bar. So we know that that is the quotient rule. And so we have quotient rule. We subtract our exponents. Look for your x. Where is your higher x? Hopefully you said the bottom. So I'm going to leave it on the bottom and subtract the top. I can't do it over here because there's not enough room. And where's your bigger y, top or bottom? The top. So I'm going to leave it on the top and subtract the exponent from the other y. So we get y to the 4th over x to the 2nd. Next up, we got lots going on over here. And for the sake of room, just know that because it's a fraction bar, it's also the quotient rule, so you're subtracting. Where's your bigger A, top or bottom? Hopefully you said bottom, so write it on bottom. Subtract the top A. You have 2 y's. Y to the 6th and y to the 12th. Where's your bigger y? Hopefully you said the bottom. So subtract the top. And we have b to the 3rd. There's no other b's, so we're just going to leave that where it is. So your final answer is going to be b to the 3rd over a to the 2nd, y to the 6th. All right, the last 2. Automatically for number 11, your eye should go somewhere specific. In this case, and just like it did at the beginning of the year, it should always go to the parentheses. If you look here, you have parentheses with a number on the outside, so we know that that is either MLB or P2P, but because it has the exponent on the outside, you should know it's P2P. So draw your arrows. And we know when it's power to power, we are multiplying. So we have 2 times 7, which is 14. 5 times 7, which is 35. And then I'm going to drop this guy down. So now we no longer have parentheses, but we have a dot, which we know is multiplying like bases. We also know that I have an a here with no exponent, so that needs to get a 1. And when you're multiplying like bases, add the exponents. So a to the 14th and a to the 1st becomes a to the 15th. B to the 35th and b to the 3rd becomes b to the 38th. And last but not least, if you notice, we have parentheses with an exponent, parentheses with an exponent. So therefore, we have power to power twice. And again, this 2 right here only goes to the parentheses it's attached to, just like this 7 did up above. So a to the 5th becomes a to the 10th, b to the 6th becomes b to the 12th. This 5, again, the arrows only go to the parenthesis it's attached to. So we have a to the 45th now, b to the 50th. And technically, there are parentheses. So we have 2 sets of parentheses. So now we know we're multiplying like bases, which means we do what to our exponents? We add them. So we have a to the 55th, b to the 62nd, and we are done.